The concept of a mind palace was made famous by Sherlock Holmes, though it was utilized for centuries before the legendary detective. Welcome to Prepared Leaders. In this video, you will learn the 5 steps to remembering things with a memory palace or mind palace. You will also understand how a mind palace works. Originally, it was referred to as the method of Loki. It is a memory device used to commit a large amount of information to your memory by combining visual and spatial memory. Loki is the Latin word for places, and the ancient Greeks are actually credited with creating this method. In fact, when we say in the first place or in the second place, we're actually referring to references to the method of Loki. From those early days forward, this method has been utilized by champions of the mind to perform incredible feats of memorizations, like memorizing pi to 100,000 digits. And while it may seem like an extraordinary feat to create a functional mind palace, it is quite achievable with a bit of practice. A simple example. Let's say you're ready to go to your friend's house for a little get-together. Head on over. When you get there, you need to find a place to park. Now his block has a bunch of cars on it, so you have to park 1 block over. Then you walk into the house and you need to put your keys upright. So you sit them on the coffee table in his living room. As more people show up and time passes, you realize that it's getting a little warm. So you take your jacket off and you throw it over the chair. Well, the party ends. Everyone had a great time, but it's now time to leave. How do you know where everything is? You need to leave your jacket, your keys, and of course your car. But why? It's because you came with them. They are permanent items for you. You're likely to take these almost anywhere that you travel. You immediately remember where your jacket is. It's over the chair. Then as you walk out, you see your keys and you're reminded that you had to park a block down. Now, the process of leaving that get-together is very similar to what you do in a mind palace. You see things that you know you need, like your coat and your keys in your car, and they remind you of other things. So, here are the 5 simple steps to creating and using a functional mind palace. Number 1. Decide on the map's location. The layout of your mind palace is crucial for it to function appropriately. While it is possible to completely construct your own layout from your imagination, it'll take extra energy and a lot of extra time that you don't need to expend. The goal is to be so familiar with your palace's layout that you can run through it in your mind without even having to think much about it. In fact, humans have a memory system that is set up to be associative. This means that we store information based on what is associated with. The technical term of this is elaborative encoding, and it's the specific way that we encode short-term information into long-term memory. It works by connecting one memory to pre-existing memories. Every memory has another memory attached to it, and the more attachment one memory has, the easier it is that it can be recalled. Some of the best locations to start off with would be to use your house, your workplace, your school, or even a childhood park. Any space that you're very familiar with. Number 2. Establish the permanent items. Assuming that you are able to walk through your palace in your mind without struggling to recall details, you are ready to start assigning permanent items. You should select 4 to 5 items in each room. Optimal items to select are furniture, artwork, window decorations, and other prominent features. Try to avoid selecting 2 of the same objects in each room. For instance, if you have a dining room, don't use each individual chairs as a separate item. Instead, utilize the entire set as one item. This will prevent your brain from getting confused when you add information later. Number 3. Determining your route. The step that catches most people off guard. In short, you must order each item in your room and follow that order. When I first learned of the Mind Palace technique, I had an unrealistic concept of walking aimlessly through my palace and seeing things that I wanted to remember. While this seems interesting and is partially true, it negates how a mind palace truly functions. A mind palace's functionality lies largely in repetition and visual cues. So now that you have your mind palace memorized and the items within it selected, you have to establish a route that you will always take when recalling things. In other words, you must order your items. Some people find it easier to give a number to each item in their memory palace. For instance, I always enter through my front door and then I always turn right and work around my house in a counterclockwise motion. I work counterclockwise in every room as well, until I finally make it back around the beginning of the route. And before we continue, I'll be giving you some time to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on the notification bell to be notified every time a new video is uploaded. And let's continue. Number 4. Adding information to the permanent items. Now that we have a mental model of the rooms memorized, you must associate something with each item in each room. Something to keep in mind while adding information. A visual memory technique means that you have to convert whatever information that you want to memorize into a visual form. This means that even if it's number cards, task information, or a speech, you must turn it into visual information. There are a few techniques that have already been created to help you do this conversion, but many people do it with their own creativity. The first step in adding information is to convert it into an observed, visually and sensory stimulating image with bright colors, textures, sounds, feelings, and movements. After you've done this to your information, you can begin to place it throughout your mind palace along the route that you take. This is where the route begins. This process can be carried out with many forms of information. What makes the palace powerful is the repetition of the same location and route, and the visual and sensory imagery. However, there is a concern that most people have. What if you have added some information to the mind palace, and when you try to add more, your brain gets confused with the two different lists of things? The answer is number 5. Create more than one. You are no doubt familiar with more than one location in the world, so yes, you can create more palaces. In fact, many memory champions will create multiple palaces for various commonly memorized topics. This is why many people fail to actually use the memory palace effectively. They just haven't dedicated enough time to it. However, with these 5 simple steps, you can now begin building and utilizing your mind palace. It does take a lot of work, and ease and speed will come with time. But memorizing more complex information will become easier as you learn more techniques for tethering more information. Now, as a final disclaimer, I want to let you know that the Mind Palace technique is not for everyone. If this technique doesn't work for you, there are many others that might be a better fit. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something, and I hope you got some gold nugget of knowledge that you can use to implement in your life to improve your memory capacity and the effectiveness of it. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and turn on the notification bell so you'll know when I upload new content. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in my next video.